Okay, this is number 111. You have two big terms. I'm not going to read them all out because they're long, but you have this big term and this big term right here. And you're looking left to right to see what you have in common between the two terms. Okay, so I'm going to start here with a 3. Look over here on the right side. I don't have a 3, so I leave it. 2x minus 1 squared, 2x minus 1 cubed. So I can pull out a 2. This is equal. I can pull out a 2x minus 1 squared. Okay, it's gone from that factor. I've pulled the whole thing out. The cubed is now left with a first power. Then I have a 2 right here. I have a 1/2 right there. Those are common, right? So 1/2 is really 2 to the negative 1. So I can pull out a 2 to the negative 1 or a 1/2 because that's the smallest exponent. Remember, we're looking for, this is a 2 to the 1. So we're looking for the smallest exponent. So I'm going to pull out the 1/2. It's common for both of those. When I pull it out of this one, it's gone. When I pull it out of this one, we're doing 2 divided by 1/2, right? That's how you factor things out. You divide them, which is the same as 2 times 2, so it's 4. So this one is now a 4. Then I have the x plus 3 squared and the x plus 3 to the negative 1/2, so this is kind of the same idea. You're going to pull out the negative 1/2, or the x plus 3 to the negative 1/2. It's the smaller exponent. It's gone from that term, and then you'll do this one. You'll subtract them. 1/2 minus negative 1/2. Okay, make it a plus. That turns into a 1. So now we're at x plus 3 to the first power. Okay, if you forgot, like you didn't not sure which one to divide or which one to subtract when you're doing the exponents, this is x plus 3 to the 1/2 divided by x plus 3 to the negative 1/2. So now you have this one on top. It's this exponent minus that exponent. So 1/2 minus negative 1/2. But you're always just going to end up subtracting the exponents because we're always dividing. So this is finished. We don't have anything left that we can take out that's common. So now big bracket, I have a 3, I have a 4, I have an x plus 3. Don't forget the plus. There's a plus there. We didn't take out a plus. And then I have a 2x minus 1. Close the bracket. Then we're going to simplify that bracket. I'm going to put the 1/2 in the front. I like the constants in the front. You can leave it there if you want, but I'm going to move it to the front. So I have 1/2, 2x minus 1 squared, x plus 3 to the negative 1/2. 3 times 4 is 12, so 12, and then distribute it to both of those. So 12x plus 36. Plus, you don't even need these parentheses because you're just adding, so plus 2x minus 1. Close parentheses. This can still be simplified. We have common or like terms on there. So 1/2 times 2x minus 1 squared times x plus 3 to the negative 1/2 times 12x plus 2x is 14x. 36 minus 1 is plus 35. Now, looking at this one, you still have a common factor in there, right? Those both have a 7 in them, so we need to pull that out as well. So I have 1/2 times 7 times 2x minus 1 squared times x plus 3 to the negative 1/2 times, and if I pulled out a 7, this is a 2x, and this is a 5. Okay, so this is completely factored. We've completely factored this one. We don't have any more common factors. Now, if it says to factor and simplify, you want to get rid of these negative exponents. Oops, sorry. You want to get rid of the negative exponents. So we're going to move that to the bottom. I'm also going to move this 2 to the bottom instead of having 7/2 on top, so a fraction over a fraction is not good. So I'm going to put the 2 on the bottom as well. And remember up here, we said that was 2 to the negative 1. So if we had written this as 2 to the negative 1, we would have that negative exponent that we want to move to the bottom of the fraction. So everything that's on top, I'm going to leave on top. 7 times 2x minus 1 squared. This one's going down to the bottom, so I'm going to leave that off. And then times 2x plus 5. All over 2 times x plus 3 to the 1/2. Okay, so this is simplified. We do have a square root on the bottom, right? The x plus 3 to the 1/2 would be a square root. But unless we ask you to get rid of the square roots on the bottom, or if we say to rationalize the denominator, leave it like that, especially with the exponent, because this is going to be a mess trying to move it back up and then, get rid of the square root on the bottom and all that. So this is factored. This is more simple than this version right here with the negative exponent and the 1/2 in front. So if it asks you to simplify, go ahead and move all the fractions or all the exponents that are negative, move those terms to the bottom, or those factors.